Here at Namasté, we feel some kind of way. It's something about. We say we love, we really love. See you, we care. Please be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. Woo! It's okay to lose your mind a little bit on that one. Here we go, one more time. Let's bring it back around. Here at Namasté, we feel some kind of way. It's something about. We say we love, we really love. See you, we care. Please be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. Here at Namasté, we feel some kind of way. It's something about. We say we love, we really love. We see you, we care. Please be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what. That's exactly what keeps me coming back.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our Super Sunday service. My name is Chris Schreiber, proud Namasté member, proud co-lead of the Exploration Leadership Team. Sometimes proud, sometimes shocked member of our species, and your host today. I'm so glad you can join us. If you're online, we welcome you. If you're in our beautiful space, we welcome you. If you are new, we are so glad you are here with us today. Thank you for joining us. And if you've been walking on this journey with us for a while, thank you. Thank you. We are a radically welcoming community. We believe all paths lead to awakening. We believe all paths lead to an awakening. We are here collectively revealing that love is the nature of who we already are. You may have received a prayer card on your way in today. Please fill out your prayer card and put it in the box in the entryway. If you need a prayer card, please raise your hand and we'll be happy to bring one to you. Oh, thank you, Mad Hatter. The Mad Hatter definitely needs a prayer card. Please fill it out and leave it in the prayer box in the front. Our amazing practitioners are here to support you and to pray with you. I invite you now to read with me who we are. Please read this with me. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is love, truth, light, and peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we recognize that we are one. Namaste. Reverend Bobby, also known as the Mad Hatter today, told me I could go off script just a bit. So I'd like to read a poem that I wrote on Friday during a walk in the sunshine. It is this feeling with which I invite you into this space today. On this Easter Sunday, just past Passover and springing forward, Pluto moving into Aquarius, there is only this paradox. I will die, in all or in parts, and only truly know resurrection as recycling, remembering, renewal, release, realization, as this in connection, in a community which sees me and lives it, where I see me and live it, where it is love, only love. And on this day, so many springs before us, so many wreaths, so many new lives and pure potentiality. May we be this, as this, today. Now back to our epic music team to envelop us into this space.
Thank you, thank you. Feel free to stand and join us in our congregational song, We Come Together. Keep doing that. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. 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 In the name of love. We come together. 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 In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Oh, lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. 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 In the name of love. We come together. 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 In the name of love.
Every walk of life, every creed and color, in kinship we unite, in honor of the God in each other. We come together.
We come together.
We come together.
We come together. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, Namasté, I bow to you.
Namasté, I bow to you.
Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
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 In the name of love. We come together.
We come together.
We come together. We come together.
We come together.
In the name of love. In the name of love. In the name of love.
Your name of love. Oh yeah.
Good afternoon, Namaste.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Namaste. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy spring equinox. Welcome. If you'd like to join me, I should say I'm Jesse Keeler. I'm one of your licensed practitioners. If you'd like to join me in reading the affirmation together, there is only one life. This life is God's life. This life is perfect. Life is my life now. Thank you. And I'd like to invite up Debbie Ann Volks, one of our practitioners.
The Mad Hatter. This little light.
Thank you, Des. Thank you, Debbie Ann. There's only one life, and that life is God's life. And that life right here and right now is ever present and always active as this thing we call life, as this thing we call God. And as we invite God into this sanctuary right now, we open up our hearts and we gather together as a sacred community in the uplifting of not only our individual selves, but as a community. And we know that Reverend Bobby, the Mad Hatter's talk today will touch each and every person that hears it, open and uplift them. And Lena and Lorenzo and Des, their music will inspire us and lift us up to move into something greater. And I know as these things are true, that this spirit, this life, this beautiful spring, this season that celebrates the victory of life over our physical mortality is sacred and it's holy. And I say thank you, God. Thank you for each and every person that's here and right now. And so it is. And with that, I'd like to invite up our Board of Trustees to do the announcements. And that is Lori. Welcome up, Lori.
Okay. Good afternoon, Namaste. And happy Easter. And I've already gone past where I was supposed to go. So, you're getting all nice and settled in your seats, so time to stand up and go say hi to somebody you haven't already said hi to today. That's your challenge. When the music stops, it's time to come back. When the music stops, it's time to come back. They're still playing. And getting resettled. So, hi everyone in the sanctuary and at home. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Lori Holmes Winterroad, and I am on your board of trustees here at Namasté. Hi. And I'm going to invite everybody to join me in reading here on your screen at home, our Namasté mission statement. We are a joy-filled, loving center of spiritual growth. We create transformative connections and build bridges of unity for an all-inclusive humanity. We are Namaste. But wait, there's more. Part 2. Through mindful and respectful exploration, we are creating a healthier foundation that supports and engages a whole beloved community, equipped to launch new strategies for a thriving spiritual center. And if you are feeling the vibes a little bit stronger on part 2, we're getting a little bit closer to acting on part 2. More to come. So, everybody knows this slide, and you can probably say it better than I. However, let's describe our cycle here at Namasté. We awaken to a new truth in our lives. We realize how that truth is played out in our lives. Then we take our new knowledge and transform our lives. And we repeat this process in our lives in new ways. And the power statements, I know I have read them. I'd like us to read them together. You can forget the hashtags. Ready? We are Namasté, and this stuff works. So, weekly, we have been having dialogues. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now, but there are 2 more Sundays to get information about what's going on. So join us weekly as we explore coming together with questions, concerns, and possibilities for creating a sustainable, beloved community. And as well, you'll see flip charts out in our entryway. Oh, did we put that out today? Flip chart out in the entryway? Okay, never mind that. But come on Wednesday, and you can also write your questions and send them in a general email for responses to our regular general meeting and the weekly meetings. It's our community that we are creating, so join us in the dialogue. There's been some conversation out there that this unification is done. Not yet. Your vote is what makes the unification go forward after April 23rd. So put April 23rd on your calendar with a big circle around it. Super, super important. And if you vote yes, we go forward. If you vote no, we stop that process. For the link, see our newsletter or the website. After service, April 23rd. Okay, and this slide deserves a special announcer, so to that end, I'm going to invite one of the co-leads, our representative from Namasté, co-leader Chris Schreiber, to come on up and tell us a little bit more about what's happening next Sunday and why we should be there.
So as Lori said, we've been hosting monthly, we've been hosting collaborative Sunday services, and then following the service, we have a community meeting where we come together and we bring people up to date on what's happening with the unification exploration effort. So Wednesdays, come and bring your questions, and Sunday, come and bring your questions. So we're going to have a session where we bring people up to speed in terms of where we are relative to the timeline, and also to break out into some sessions, into some smaller groups, to really ask questions together and be in dialogue together as a community and as a growing community, so that we can work together to find new solutions together to where and how we come together or not, but certainly to be in dialogue together and answer questions together as a community. So please come next Sunday. So next Sunday, we're going to be collaboratively together at Seal Beach at 10 a.m. That means we're not going to be here next week. So that means we're not going to be here next week. We're going to be together there next week. So please mark your calendar. Please join us for service. It's going to be a wonderful service followed by a meeting together. Thank you.
Okay, and I believe we are also celebrating Reverend John's last in-person service at Seal Beach that day. So, a little help as a nice send-off from us, Namasté style. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Okay, these 2 slides you're pretty familiar with also. So we have weekday mornings. Jumpstart your weekday at 7 a.m. Join our practitioners for prayer, support, and connection. You can call in or join in on Zoom. Information on the website and in the newsletter. Safe Place is our grief support group. Every second Wednesday, usually, except for this month because of the chats, but I imagine that will resume in May, but every second Wednesday, and the changes that life events. Life happens to us all. There are life events that just we can use a little help getting through. That's been a big thing for me, speaking from experience, and any type of support that we can give in community is welcome. And last, thank yous. Reverend Veronica for her talk last week. Sherry, bravo, yeah. Say yes. Sherry, for all the help that she provides behind the scenes, always ready and willing to help with anything and everything. Eileen C. Davis, for hosting the Monday chat. And all those who attend Wednesday night's discussions with your questions and your comments surrounding the exploration of unification. And this is off script. I will go off script since you started it. I will put in a plug for anything that we do in community with the Seal Beach folks. I was drafted into one of these kinds of things, 2 of them actually, at the beginning of the year, and I have found my collaboration with the Seal Beach folks to be a light in my life. Truly unexpected, and it came from a place of, why am I doing this every Sunday for 2 hours, to, gosh, I missed them this week, because we didn't meet this morning. So anyway, but next week and ongoing, the Wednesday night chats, super important, so please, please, please be a part. And that's all I have. I turn it back over to the music team.
Thank you, Lori. With the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take, bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is found in every gift you give. So love your life and love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Yes, you will. Amazing. Places you will go, and the people you will know. Don't worry when or where or how. You don't have to know that right now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. So just enjoy what each day brings. You will do amazing things. You already have amazing, oh amazing. You will do amazing things. Yes, you will. Amazing.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Again, I'm Jesse Keeler, and I'm licensed to pray through the Centers for Spiritual Living. Today's theme is seeing and being seen. And I know the Mad Hatter is going to have a lot to say to us about that. You know, most of us have been taught that seeing happens through our eyes. Our materialist society teaches us that we have 5 senses, one of them being sight, which operates through our eyes. So much of how our materialist society functions, how information is transmitted, requires sight. Basic survival in our society favors people who have physical sight. It's ingrained into our societal values, the importance of sight, to distinguish what is true from what is not true. For example, I'll know it when I see it, or picture's worth 1,000 words. And I'm sure there's a number that you could add onto that. But many of us could also testify that our eyes can also deceive us. They don't always tell us everything that needs to be known. For example, optical illusions are great examples of how our eyes alone don't always tell us what we're looking at. Perhaps you've seen that optical illusion, the picture where you look at it and sometimes it appears like a vase and sometimes it appears of 2 faces in profile that are looking at one another. I see some of you nodding. You've seen this one. And one of the things we can take away from that is that depending on where we look at in that picture is going to tell us what perspective we have. There's going to tell us what we see, what we're looking at, whether we're seeing the vase or whether we're seeing the picture. And you might say that our seeing is vulnerable to our state of consciousness. What's going on in our mind, the thoughts that we're thinking, influence what we see. Any word geeks out there? All right, for you word geeks out there, the word vulnerable has its roots in the Latin word vulnus, which means wound. It's fairly certain that most of us have been trained to live in this materialist Western world, don't want to associate with anything related to being vulnerable, let alone call ourselves being vulnerable. And that makes perfect sense. If the world we live in is strictly about material reality, the stuff of the physical world, then any vulnerabilities, any places where a person is wounded, weak, or unable to take care of themselves, puts them at a serious disadvantage for survival. As a result, many of us go to great lengths to not reveal our wounds or where we may be hurting. I think social media is a great example of this tendency many of us have to hide our vulnerabilities, the less desirable things about ourselves, the places in our lives where we expose ourselves as being human, or what I like to call being people-y. Think of people who only post images of themselves that make you think they eat the best food, they go the most exotic places, they're beautiful, they're fit. My eyes see the perfection that's on display, but something tells me there must be more to what I'm seeing. After all, they're people, and it's their peopliness that's really interesting to me. Today is Easter, and although I'm no longer a Christian, I still hold the highest reverence the teachings of Jesus that have been passed down through the centuries to us. And Easter celebrates the resurrection of Jesus, the triumph of eternal life over physical death. For all the failings of various religions, they have given us a means to see what is back of, what is beyond the physical material world we experience. Okay, now bear with me for a minute. Imagine you're one of Jesus' disciples. Just bear with me for a minute. and you witness him, you see him die on the cross. Then you see him laid to rest in the tomb, and a couple days later, he shows up. You're with your friends, and he appears. And you know you're not crazy because your friends see him as well. And the way he lets you know that it's Jesus is that he shows you the wounds on his hands and his feet. He shows you where he was vulnerable, where he was wounded. Through the sharing of his vulnerability, he shows you, as a human, how you can transcend the limitations of your material experience of reality. Now, I don't think this story tells us that we have to get nailed to a cross to get in touch with the God of our understanding, or that we should put ourselves through needless suffering. I do think it's telling us to recognize our humanness, that even the best of us can be peoply, to know that the woundings we've experienced in our life, the wounds that we may not have healed from yet, are important for our deeper, broader, greater connection with the God of our understanding. And the courage to share with a trusted, caring group of people those places within ourselves where we are most vulnerable restores our vision of wholeness and our bonds with others that we're in relationship with. So just take a moment with me. I want to go a little bit deeper. Just settle in, untangle yourself. Allow the chair where you're at to support you. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Now take in a deep breath. Breathe in deeply. Feel the goodness of the air coming into your body, your lungs extracting the oxygen and passing into your blood cells. As you exhale, let go of what no longer serves you. You are now in the reciprocity of life. Recognize the divine creator of all life is breathing you. There, settle into your safe place. From that safe place, you can gaze out over the vista of your life. Look out beyond the fences into the wilds of creation, into the world that you know is possible. And from here, ask yourself, where do I feel vulnerable? Then ask yourself, what is the life source quality, the God quality, that place is calling, that place where I feel vulnerable is calling for? It might be love, joy, peace, abundance, wisdom, power, freedom, creativity. Select that quality and feel into it. And as you feel into that life source quality, allowing the feeling to expand and feel the place where you feel vulnerable, feel the safety of that quality as you infuse your vulnerability with it. Feel the power your vulnerability is calling you to unleash, to heal your wounded places. No, you are not alone. Life source is with you. The God of your understanding is with you, flowing through you as you breathe into that oneness. Give thanks to divine life source for being ever present in your life and living through you. As you continue to be mindful of your breath, begin to bring your attention back to this time and place. Know all life is an expression of the oneness. You are an expression of that oneness. And you are held in the sacred embrace of life source and loved. Blessings. And thank you, Namaste.
Something's calling me calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Feels like I'm walking on marbles. Can't steal the earth beneath my feet. And is my head in the clouds, my naked legs left dangling? I can feel my heart begin to pound. And everybody said, something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Long dark night, my soul it wanders. Can't see the light that moves me. If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, pull me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, I know I'm not the only one to live inside these blues. Oh Lord, ooh, I surrender my life to you. Oh Lord, yes, I give my life, I give my love to you. Love is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Compassion's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Ooh, my faith is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. God is calling me and I'm grateful than I've ever been before.
I might have picked a lighter song, right? Dress This Way. I love that song, Jamie Lula. Happy Passover, Happy Easter, and I think we have Ramadan right now, don't we? All happening at the same time, which happens every 33 years, I think it is. So I don't expect you to take me too serious today. But I imagine you'll get used to it, right? When I was 26 years old, my parents bought their first home. I've mentioned before we grew up in a mining town, so I grew up in company housing. So a little bit different experience. So I'm 26, my parents buy their first home. And my father was in his 40s, and my mother, I think, he was in his late 40s, my mother's in her middle 40s. So I decided at their invitation, which was really more of a demand when I think of what was going on at the time, I moved back home. And in your 20s, you're kind of figuring things out, right? You're figuring out this relationship at a whole nother level with your parents. There's still a bit of independence that's not completely matured yet. And like Alice in Wonderland, I was presented with the question of what will I be as an adult? What will I be now? In Alice in Wonderland, there are two movies that I've been focusing on both last week in my talk and today, that have to do with not just coming of age, but really coming into knowing who we are. The level of dysfunction in our home was significant, and it delayed a lot of my own challenging of independence that I think a lot of folks sort of start doing in their teen years. I did not. I was the most excellent, compliant daughter. It was how I flew under the radar, and it was how I was able to manage what was happening in my home. And I was so tied to my parents still, and especially my mother, because it was my role to take care of her emotional life. That was my job. And I can honestly say I was terrible at it. Not because I didn't try, but because we can't do that. So it's really the impossibility of trying to do something like that. So after I'd moved in, the situation was so overwhelming, it became a catalyst for change for me. And I started to come to the edge of an identity that I had adopted as a young person and was trying to hold on to in my 20s, and very unsuccessfully. And my mom made it a practice. So I'm going to just ask you to notice this. I go back from mom to mother a lot. And the mother part is the more formal sort of relationship I had with her. She spent a lot of time with me venting her life. She would corner me, and it wouldn't just be for a few minutes or 30 minutes or an hour. It could be hours. And she would talk to me about her life and very helpless, how she felt very helpless. But at the same time, she would point to me and tell me what was wrong with me, too. And such a difficult place to be in your 20s. And how selfish I was for trying to venture out and be more independent. It's such a paradox and contrary to really what we're supposed to do, right? So I had a little bit of a delayed phase of that independence. One day, she and I were, well, she was talking to me, and I was really struggling. And at the time, suicide was a possibility. And I was standing there, and all of a sudden I remember I just kind of slumped down to the ground on the floor in their bedroom and leaned up against the door, and I thought, I have to do something. Like, I need to do something drastic. And something calling me, I stood up, and I looked at her, and I said, we're not doing this anymore. I'm done with having these kinds of conversations. I can no longer do this with you, and you need to go talk to your therapist. And she looked at me like I was crazy, that I was mad. And I walked out. I left the house. I went out for the rest of the day. I came back that evening, and she said, we're going to go to my therapist and talk. I went, this can't be good. And I had never been in a therapist's office, so I really didn't know what to expect. And since my mother was sort of the expert to everything, I pretty much assumed that I was in for it. But I agreed because that's what I do. And a few days later, we did go to sit with her therapist. The therapist talked to us for just a moment. I don't even know, even in that moment, if I was hearing it. She separated us. She sent me outside. She talked to my mother. She sent my mom back out. She brought me in. She asked me a bunch of questions. And then she said, Bobby, when you go home, I want you to pack your stuff up and get out. And I don't even know why. She saw something in me and the situation, and she said, if you don't do this, I'm concerned you will be alive within a year. So I left. It was quiet in the car on the way back, which was very unusual. And when I got home, I thought about it. The next day I went to work. I didn't do it immediately. I called a friend of mine who always took me to the edge of life. This was a beginning of my life. She was pushing me to the edge in a whole bunch of different ways. And I called her and I said, can I move in with you tonight? And she said, yes. I went home. I packed up enough clothes for a couple of days. I had told my parents I wanted to talk to them. And I came out and dropped the bag at the front door and walked over to them and said, I'm leaving. And my mother said, if you leave, you can never come back. I said, I know. And then she said, and you owe us 3 months' rent. And I know. And I said, okay. I wrote the check. I gave it to her. That's all I had at the time, in that sense of like not knowing what to do. And I said, I'll be back for the rest of my stuff in a couple of days. And I walked out of my home with my parents for the last time. Now, the pull to grow, the pull to change my life into something that was much more about who I was greater than the pain I was feeling. Last week, when we were talking about Alice in Wonderland, it's about how stories can change once we start examining them. Today, it's about how we can tell our stories from that place of vulnerability, and what does it really mean when we do that? To open up to a greater meaning and see a different version, and how our stories continue to perpetuate beliefs we have in our own minds about what life is, who I am, and what I think you are. As we're going through this unification, our stories are informing everything. If there's any struggle coming up, it's a story I have that's informing it. My own as well. I have nervousness sometimes. I wonder, well, what's the community going to do? There's a host of questions I have. But I always go back to something that I'm going to talk to. One second. Ernest Holmes said this, and I find this interesting with respect to the looking glass. We see in each other the reflection of the manifestation of the everlasting life, and each is an individualized embodiment of it. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is already in us, and we are in it. It is only as we are in harmony with it that we awake to it. Every one of you are a reflection back to me of who I am. That doesn't mean sometimes, including if you do something and it disturbs me, it doesn't mean you did something disturbing. It just means I'm disturbed. I am mad sometimes, not angry, mad, as sometimes how I see the world feels maddening, doesn't it? Sometimes how I see others acting or what they say feels mad. And yet each one of us is having this journey that's so unique and absolutely beautiful that we do have that choice. There are two characters in the Alice in Wonderland story that I have truly come to love. Now, last week I had confessed that I hated Alice in Wonderland. Seriously. And this whole 2 weeks, what I have come to change in that is I absolutely adore the story. It's exhausting being me. I absolutely love the story and the metaphysical meanings that we can pull from a story like this. There's two characters in the story. You are seeing one of them, the Hatter. By the way, he was not the Mad Hatter, he was the Hatter. And what was interesting about the Hatter is he would say these beautiful things to Alice, and he would just gently encourage her or challenge her that hardly seemed a challenge. One time he said to her in the story, he said, and this was when he first met her in Alice in Wonderland in the 2010 movie with Johnny Depp. He says to her, because she seems to be lost and has forgotten herself, and he says, "You used to be much more, muchier. Now you've lost your muchness." Don't we lose that sometimes? Don't we forget who we are in some moments and feel completely powerless or completely just overwhelmed or whatever it is that we are dealing with? And then he is in a situation with her, and she's looking at him because they travel together. They're like siblings in both stories. And he looks at Alice, and he's scared because he has a moment of madness. And he says, "I don't like it in here. It's terribly crowded." Isn't it? It's so crowded in here. I've got at least 10 different people in my head sometimes. The phrase, though, "mad as a hatter," it was common in Carroll's time, Lewis Carroll, the author. Mad as a hatter was a real colloquialism that owes to the origin of the fact that hatters actually did go mad. Because they used mercury, there was mercury in the glue that they would use to put these amazing hats together. And they would get discolored hands both from mercury and dye. I've colored a lot of things, let me just say, just to be in character. The real symptoms of being a Mad Hatter was speech disorder, erratic mood swings, psychosis, and tremors. The Hatter shakes is what they called it. It was real. So when you see the Mad Hatter, it's based on a real challenge of the time. And the Hatter traveled like a sibling, as I mentioned, with Alice. He helped Alice come to terms with who she really was. He never pushed it. I don't know what time it is. Is it tea time? Sometimes I lose it. Alice would say to the Hatter, "I wish I would just wake up from this dream. I just want to wake up from this dream." And he said, "Is it a dream?" And he goes, because if it's a dream, then I'm not real. How often are we in our own heads so much that we don't even see the other person, the other people, and their own experiences? We're just so in our head that everyone around us is not even real. So the Hatter, being this just beautiful character, just cared so deeply for Alice, saw Alice for all that who she was. Another character in the story is the character Absalom. And Absalom is a caterpillar. He was the one that smoked the hookah, right? And he was just like some of the other characters. I really love him because he undergoes this amazing change, both in as far as his character in maturing and appearing less kiddish over time. But he also transforms. I didn't plan this. He goes into a chrysalis and becomes the butterfly. And Alice is speaking to him, and she goes to him and says, she is supposed to fight the Jabberwocky, which is like a dragon. And it's the thing she's so scared of. She must have dreamed about it as a child. And she's terrified, and she's walking around crying, and she looks up and she sees Absalom, and he says, crying doesn't help at all. And she goes, but I don't know what to do, and she's crying, and he says, look, I can't help you if you don't know who you are. No one can. It's knowing who we are that life changes. It's knowing who we are, not completely, but just knowing enough is taking that shift. As 26, standing up and going, I am not this, was the beginning of a huge change in my life. Because I started to stand up in other places, not right at first, but as I practiced and practiced, I started to stand up, and I started to learn something really, really important about standing up, is to not hurt others when I do it, is to be able to have conversations with others and be respectful and kind, and that doesn't change. It doesn't make my argument more powerful, less powerful, but it does allow you to see me. That's what's amazing about having that kind of conversation. Absalom serves as this spiritual guide, and he seems to be a measure or a scale that confirms Alice's strengthening. After he tells her, he goes, I can't help you if you don't know who you are. She stands up, and she says, I'm Alice Kingsley. I'm the daughter of my father, Charles Kingsley, and the daughter of Elizabeth Kingsley, and my father had the world in his hand. I'm paraphrasing. And as she stood in who she was, Absalom looks at her and he goes, because up to this point he had kept saying, you are hardly Alice. So she assumed that she was the wrong Alice for the story. But in that moment he said, there's Alice. There you are. Started to recognize who she was. And I think that's a tough one because there's so much that tells us to be something else. Jesus, in the Beatitudes, he said, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, the poor in spirit. Some people would like to interpret that as people that know they need God and I'm just weak and I'm a sinner. But I would say this. Poor in spirit is that I am not enough, just me in a sense of we are all connected. And I know that I can't do this alone, that I have to do it with you and you and you and you. It's not that I'm not enough as who I am, it's just I don't do it alone. Anyone that thinks they can do it on their own is missing something incredibly important. And that is that the universe is not a single organism. It is organisms upon organisms upon organisms. all working together to support a common evolution, which is we are all evolving. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. It's not about being perfect. It's about knowing who I am and that I will see God within me. He was not a mediator or a mediary. He was a great example to which our relationship with God is the relationship or spirit or universal consciousness, whatever we call it. I like to think of it as a panel, maybe a committee that changes all the time. Or is it just all of us together collectively? He figured it out. Jesus not only figured it out, but he tried to teach us in story, in question. Never said who you are. In fact, he said, "Who do you say I am?" I change all the time. I start as a caterpillar and I move through these different iterations in life. And I come to know the truth of who I am. And through this life, living from old frameworks, old ideas, limiting beliefs, any bias that I've carried along in my life, it changes and shifts the more I become myself. The more I come to that edge. The more that I'm willing to know that whatever I know right now is not the end of it. The more that I know that I need to go into those stories and beliefs and have that experience. I tell my story. I tell my story. I'm looking for something here. We'll just leave it there for a moment. Janet Mock, who wrote Redefining Realness, she says, "I believe that telling our own stories, first to ourselves and then to one another and the world, is a revolutionary act." If you're struggling with a story and you keep it here, guess what happens to the story? In your body. It not only grows or becomes disease, but becomes so difficult to change. What I can appreciate over life, which is why I became a minister, was to be able to look at my own stories and through my own evolution continue to break the frame of the stories that don't serve me. It was purely selfish. I'd love to say I thought about being a leader in community was it, but it was really all about me. But as the journey progressed, it became not just about me, because then I realized, which science of mind can be a little hyper-individualized, what I realized is that if I don't participate in with you, it really doesn't work. If I don't honor your story, you honor my story, I tell you my story vulnerably, even the stuff I'm so ashamed of, the things that I don't like about myself. Now, I'm not saying get up here and tell all that, but what it does mean is, can I get up and tell that story? So let's see what Alice does at the end, shall we? You ready, Lena? Thank you. Now here's Alice. She's about to fight the very thing that she's terrified of. Terrified, the Jabberwocky.
This is impossible.
And if you believe it is.
A little louder.
Sometimes I believe as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast.
That is excellent. Just at the moment. You really might want to focus on the Jabberwocky.
Where's your champion, sister?
Here.
Hello.
Six impossible things. Count them, Alice. 1. There's a potion that can make you shrink. 2. And a cake that can make you grow.
Oh, my old foe. We meet on the battlefield once again.
We've never met.
Not you, insignificant bearer. My ancient enemy. The Vorpal one.
That's enough chatter. 3. Animals can talk. 4. Alice. Cats can disappear. 5. There's a place called Wonderland. 6. I can slay the Jabberwocky.
That is interfering! Off with his head!
Oh no, not that.
This is impossible.
Well, it appears that it did not completely download. So I'm going to tell you. Happens. What'd she do? She was terrified. What'd she do? Faced it. What else did she do? She fought. Brave with her words. She did 6 impossible things. She remembered her journey. She remembered how she got here. 6 impossible things that she witnessed along the way. How often do we get in a situation and we forget who we are? We've already been here. I mentioned last week, I've met my mother at least a half a dozen times since she's been gone. It's not that I'm meeting her, it's that I have faced it and it keeps showing up. But that's just part of the journey. So now when it shows up, I'm not scared. I face it. Not that I know what's going to happen. Do you think she knew what was going to happen? No. Absalom did tell her, just hold on to the sword, it knows what to do. It knows what to do. If I will listen and let go of what I can't do, the divine will speak. You see, it's the static that hides our purpose, the noise of our emotional binges of the false self system. We have to grow in possibility, and we do that when we face it over and over again. but we are never, ever alone. My practice is this. I pause. In the moment, what am I thinking? What am I doing? What am I believing? And I let that go, that old story. And then I return to center and open up and trust the mystery. We can change our brains by doing that. It's actually scientifically proven. Because if I stop in the fear, oh, this hair. If I stop in the fear, it stays at the back part of my brain, the lower part of my brain. But if I practice letting go, coming back, and if I can do that in the first 90 seconds of being triggered, then I will develop a new pathway over and over again. But I have to pause. Once I go down the rabbit hole, Alice, it's done. But the great thing is, I can practice again. I have a new opportunity again. I'm going to close with this poem by Derek Walcott. And by the way, did you just love Chris Schreiber's poem that she wrote this week? The time will come. Oh, I see we've lost something today. It's just how it works sometimes. It's not the end of the world. See? The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself arriving at your own door in your own mirror. And each will smile at the other's welcome. Can you imagine looking in the mirror? And say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart. To itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life. The stranger who has loved you. The one deep within you who has loved you all your life. Whom you ignored for another. Who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf. The photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit and feast on your life. We are pure possibility and potential. The journey is to see it in myself and others. That's love. To allow it. To be that for ourselves and others. That is the prayer I have. That is the prayer I have. And what I learned in the last 2 weeks of the beautiful story of Alice in Underland, who called it Wonderland. That's what she saw. And so it is.
You can get up and dance if you'd like. Just don't back down. Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I'll stand my ground. Won't be turned around, and I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down. I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no pushing me around, but I'll stand my ground, and I won't back down.
Won't back
Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
won't back
Hey, I will stand my ground, and I won't back down. Take it, Lorenzo.
I won't back
Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
I won't back
Hey, I won't back down.
I won't back
Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
I won't back
Hey, I will stand my ground, and I won't back down. Last time.
back down.
Back down. Lorenzo on lead guitar.
Oh, there it is. There it is. This is what happens when you dress up as the Hatter. My gosh. You just get to be a little nutty, right? But like the Hatter, I think it was Alice that said to the Hatter, he said, Alice, I think I'm going crazy. And he goes, what do you think? And she said, you're totally bonkers. And then she smiled and she said, all of us are. Right? We all have that. Let's just own our own little madness over the next year. What do you think? Let's just get mad. Totally mad, right? This is the time of our conscious giving, so I'm going to ask our ushers just to grab those baskets because we're doing it different. We're not going back to what we were doing. We're moving forward, aren't we, Terry? So before, I haven't done this in 3 years. My gosh, let me just think for a moment.
Simple. Makes sense.
Simple.
Yes, very good.
Can I have you play the Won't Back Down again while they're passing it around? All right, let's do this. This is the time we give. Hold on to that basket for just a moment because I want you to think about something. I'm going to give from where? Here. The truth of who I am. The place in me that is the authentic me. That there's plenty. And whatever I give is absolutely perfect. It doesn't matter what. It matters that I give because it is in my giving that I understand the abundance of the universe. Giving of my story, understand the abundance of the universe. Give of myself in ways. I understand the universe is abundant, and it begins right here. So if you will say this with me, and then we'll play some fun music again. Say this is our prayer. You ready? Today, I allow the divine radiance within me to shine forth. I open my heart of spirit, pours into my surroundings, blesses me, blesses others, and blesses the world. We affirm this is true, and so it is. This looks familiar. Maybe 5th Street, these two doing this? I know. Just bless that basket as it goes around. Just bless it.
Won't back down. No, it won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, and I won't back down. No, I'll stand my won't be turned around. And I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down.
So, thank you, music team. Super good today. I think they've been like kids today because every time they look at me, they just don't even know to take me seriously at all. And I get it. I also want to thank Chris Schreiber for being our opening host today. And Lori Holmes Winterroud for being our board of trustee on duty. Jesse, thanks for stepping in for someone today as our practitioner. Debbie Ann has been sitting over here looking like she's asleep, but she wasn't. She was holding vigil. Thank you, Debbie Ann. And I want to thank our welcome team. Now, I have been running back and forth, so would you just raise your hand if you were on the welcome team today? Oh, I was going to say Twiddledee and Twiddledum, but that did not seem right. But it... Yeah, we'll talk afterwards, right? So let's go to our benediction. So if you will rise if you're able. And thank you for that. Thank you for coming today. Easter's, you never know. You never know with Easter, especially at our time, who's going to show. But I want to thank you for showing up because you're supporting everyone in this room. Not just yourselves. It isn't just for you. As much as I said it was all about me, it isn't. Because this journey really proves to be so much bigger than just me. I get to honor folks as they show up in their lives with this beautiful desire for divinity, for the divine voice to pull them forward, to pull us forward into who we are really. So, I just went too serious there for just a moment. Thank you for laughing. Oh my gosh, was that just like ridiculous?
It's the music.
Was it the music?
It's my fault.
Was it your fault? The Hatter could go with that. The Hatter could go with that.
Thank you, you're the most honorable one.
Absolutely. Thank you, thank you. We are here to celebrate life, aren't we? Yeah. There is something amazing going on, isn't there? Now, I'm not going to assume what it is, because you know what happens when you assume. Yes, we know that phrase. So, tell me, what's happening right now? Hold on. Can you tell what time it is? No, I can't either. Hold on a second. Can you tell what time it is? It's wonderful. The time is wonderful. So we know that something's happening through me right now. What is it called?
It is this thing called life.
Where is it? Hold on, because if we stop there, we'd all be in trouble. Right? Because it's pretty crowded in there, isn't it? So it's not just in there, is it? Where else?
Life is in my body.
The body is the vehicle we travel in. It is our teacher. Be kind to it. Be kind to it. Where else is it?
Life is all that I am.
And just because we don't like to leave it right here with me, or you, where else?
Life is all that we are.
Am I just going to hold it right here? I'm not. Am I just going to, put it right here under a bushel, as they say? No? What else am I going to do with it? Hold on a second, because sometimes it doesn't show up that way, the way that we like. Sometimes it shows up and we have great judgment about how it shows up, don't we? And that judgment comes from the stories we tell ourselves. What if we didn't do that? Because then we'd say the next line. Just the way it appears not. Now, in gratitude for not only showing up for yourself, pick something right now that you're grateful for today. When you have it, nod your head. And allow that feeling of gratitude to rise up through our bodies, moving through our legs, moving through our torso, our neck, and into our heads. And just in this moment, in that life is so amazing, sometimes painful, that's amazing too. We don't think it is, but pain is the pusher. So let us just speak this word of gratitude today, this Easter, Passover, Ramadan Sunday, and call it truth. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy. I choose joy, yeah. When the world stops spinning around, I choose joy. When my heart's too hard to move and the music lost its groove, when I have too much to prove, yeah, I choose joy. Yeah.
When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy. I choose joy. When the world stops spinning around, I choose joy. I choose joy. Oh yeah. When my heart is hard to prove, when my music's lost the groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy. I choose joy. Sing it with me now. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Sing it again. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Sing it again. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Oh yeah. Joy, 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 joy. I choose last time. Oh yeah. Joy, 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 joy,
Joy. I choose. Give me some of that. I choose. Tell me, what do you choose? Tell me, what will you choose? 'Cause I choose joy.